Welcome to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference, empowering the good. We're going to kick it off talking about Bridges Domestic Violence Center. We are joined by their development director, Lynn Schroeder. And Lynn, how are you doing?
I am wonderful, Jeremy. Thank you so much for having us on today.
Absolutely. You do a number of things to power the good for sure, but let's start with some history. 1998, give us a little history lesson for Bridges Domestic Violence Center.
Yes, Bridges was founded in 1998 by an 8th generation Franklinite named Linda Crockett. And it started out just as a little coat closet in the bottom of a church, and then moved to a 2-bedroom home, then to a 5-bedroom. And now we're in a 15-bed emergency shelter since 2005. So we have the normal things that you would have for a domestic violence shelter. That is a hotline. That's 24/7, 365, and that number is 615-599-5777. That's the most important thing, I think, for us to get out there, is that hotline is available anytime, even if someone doesn't know if what they're experiencing is domestic violence. If they just want to call and ask, or they want to call and find out what their next step should be, we can safety plan with them and get them ready. Of course, once people get to the emergency shelter, we offer a court advocate who takes them literally through all the steps of an order of protection. She goes to the hearings with the residents, holds their hand if necessary, whatever they need to make sure that they get through it. Then we have a children's advocate who sort of acts as a liaison between the school system, the school administrators, and the parents and the children. She kind of also watches the children at play in our therapeutic playroom, so she can see if there's any issues outstanding. Children who have gone through trauma like domestic violence, but that's the first trauma, then leaving their home is the second trauma. We try to watch for any indications that they need some specific help in that area. After that, we have an outreach advocate, and she is Spanish speaking first language, English second. So it's very helpful for our Spanish speaking folks in the community. And she offers support groups offsite for ladies who don't need to come into the emergency shelter. They have a safe place to stay, but they need that support of other people, and they need to know that they're not the only ones going through this. And it really helps them to meet other people who are going through the same things and maybe learn from them what they need to do next. She also helps safety plan and takes food and clothing, anything that those people might need who are not in the shelter. Then we have case managers, which we have one for daytime, one for second shift, because a lot of our ladies might work maybe 7 at night until 7 in the morning as a nurse, or they work retail in the evenings, or they work maybe in the restaurant industry. And so we need people daytime and nighttime to help them. And what the case managers do is they help them set their own goals and then make plans as to how they're going to work toward those goals to be independent, violence-free, good members of the community. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. Then we have, when they're leaving here, we're in Williamson County. Williamson County's housing is a little expensive, so it's kind of hard for people if they haven't had a steady job for a long time, or even if they have, but now they're on their own, to find housing that they can afford. So we do offer some assistance with transitional housing. So we have an advocate who specifically does that. And she helps them find affordable housing, be it a townhouse or an apartment or whatever is available. And they can move into the transitional housing for 12 months, and we still help them with food and clothing and utilities, et cetera, so that they get a little hand up until they can really get their feet on the ground, which is so helpful. One of the most exciting things we've done since you and I last talked was not us individually, but nationwide, domestic violence shelters have found that people won't leave their homes because they know the abuser is going to turn their attention to a pet. And so they don't want to leave that pet behind because they know that pet's going to be maimed in some way. So we have, with the help of some of our community partners, PetSmart and Ilanka, built a pet shelter on the premises. So they don't have that barrier anymore. They don't have that worry anymore. They can bring their pets with them to the emergency shelter and to safety. And it's so important, I have to say, especially for the children. Those children have such incredible bonds with those little pets that for them to have to separate from that was even another trauma that they would be facing. So we are super excited that we have that up and running. And now we've hired a person on a part-time basis to take care of the animals. Because again, the ladies leave the shelter, they drop their kids at daycare or school, they go to work, they pick their kids up from daycare or school. So they're gone for 10 hours. Obviously, you can't leave a dog for 10 hours alone. So we have, with the help of Predators and Smile Direct Club, they've given us some money to have a part-time person to take care of those animals. So everybody's much happier.
Well, and it gives you an idea too of the complexity and the holistic approach you have to take in terms of saying, hey, if we're going to really step in and help, we've got to help in all these areas so that truly we can be able to make a difference. Talk about some of the numbers, the caseloads, what a typical year, and then obviously what COVID and the pandemic has brought forth as well. So kind of where are those numbers right now?
Last year, we served 1,926 individuals, non-duplicated individuals. Now that's men, women, and children all combined. We had 2,300 bed nights, which is a little less, actually almost 1,000 less than what we normally have, because the pandemic caused us to scale back so that each family would have their own bathroom. That was the only way we could figure out how to do it. So we did have to scale back the number of individuals we could take in during the pandemic. And we're still kind of creeping back to a normal 15-bed capacity at this point. And actually, I think we're there because we have enough children in certain families. So they're still not having to share bathrooms, which is really nice. But yeah, that was something when that came down, and we had the kids here. So it was sort of a weird blessing. You have 2 rooms that you can't use because they don't have restrooms, but we needed those 2 rooms for the kids to do their schoolwork on their laptops. And so we had to get an extender for the Wi-Fi, and the kids were here and they were doing their work from home, as some of the moms were, and I say from home, from shelter. So it was an interesting time, but the kids are back in school. Pretty much the moms are back at their jobs. So it's falling back into a more normal pattern. We would still probably serve about that 1,900 number, but the bed nights would be more normally. Of the 13,000 calls that we got last year, 757 of them were crisis calls. Now, sometimes those are from the police and the sheriff's department. They'll call us if they get to the scene of an assault and they think that that person isn't safe staying there with their children. They will call us to the scene 3 a.m. It doesn't matter. We go out and let them know that there are other options for them. People don't know. I mean, why would you know about us unless you had heard of us in some fashion? So they're told that they have a place to come. We'll take care of them. They'll be safe. They'll be fed and clothed, and they don't have to worry about any more violence. And they can bring their pets with them. I mean, that's just the super duper part of it now. So those are some of the numbers. We also, I don't know if I talked about this last time, we have a batterers intervention program that sometimes the judges will order the abusers to take, and they are required to pay for it. It's a 26-week program. It's somewhat similar to an anger management program to learn to deal with their feelings and their emotions in a different way other than turning to violence. And it's been very successful. And we consider that one of our prime programs that we offer. Trying to think what else I need to tell you.
Well, I think too, I'd like for you to touch on the kind of the education, the awareness side for the community. I think, to your point, getting the word out, raising the awareness is a huge piece of this, knowing that you're a resource in the community, but also too, when it comes to being proactive and the education, that sort of push is really important as well. So talk about the community outreach aspect.
Yes, we have, well, as I said, we have that support group. It's actually, there's one support group for people who haven't quite escaped yet, but they come together to figure out what it is they need to do. There's a second support group for people who've already removed themselves from a violent situation, and they're further along their path, but they still need the support of others who are on their way. And then what I forgot to mention was that there are children's support groups held at the exact same time, so that mom can pay attention in her support group and doesn't have to wonder what little Johnny's running off to do, or keeping track of him, or a baby crying or whatever. So those are at the same time. Then we go to many City of Franklin, Williamson County, Columbia fairs. We're invited to attend health and wellness fairs, especially, or the city employees fairs. And we advertise ourselves there. We hand out brochures, especially to the police officers, which they pretty much know us, but it's still helpful, or those in law enforcement, or those who are EMS. I mean, we need them to know that we exist. So we hand out our brochures there, our business cards. We let them know what it is we do, hand out a little swag while we're there, so that maybe they can remember. Matter of fact, we have some of those phone wallets that you put on the back of your phone, put your credit cards in so you don't lose them. And it has the Bridges hotline number on it, so that if someone thinks they might need to use that for someone else's benefit or for their own benefit, it's right there with them. We do a lot of speaking. I'm an ambassador for the Williamson County Chamber of Commerce as well, so I go to all of their events as I speak to and see people at those events as well. Anytime I've been asked to speak, I'll go to the Rotary clubs, to churches, to wherever, and let people know who we are and what we have to offer, and that we're here for them. And of course, that hotline number, 615-599-5777. Pretty easy to remember, but again, not if you're in the throes of violence at the time.
Well, and that's where you can't ever say it enough. So continually
Right.
pushing that number is important.
Yes.
How can we help? I know you have a big event coming up November 5th, so definitely talk about that, and volunteer opportunities. What are ways that the community can help?
Absolutely. We have our annual Jokers and Jackpots Gala coming up November 5th. It's going to be held at the Embassy Suites in Cool Springs, and the tickets will be on sale sometime around September on our webpage, which is www.bridgesdvc.org. That is also the link that will take you to donations, either donations of gently used items, be they small pieces of furniture or clothing, household goods, coffee pots, vacuums, etc. Or if you want to donate items, we have an Amazon Smile list that has all the normal things: trash bags, toilet paper, paper towels, all the things that any household needs, but we need it times 15. So it's very helpful if people can either donate cash on that site, or you can purchase the tickets for the gala on that site once they're available in September, or you can donate items. Or every second and fourth Wednesday of the month, we meet over at 129 West Folk Street, and we take donations. Now, large furniture items, we have to make other arrangements for, because we don't really have the manpower to pick those things up, so, but yeah, people can volunteer. We have a volunteer form on the website where you can fill out your name, number, what you might like to do. We need people for administrative, for filing, for answering phones. We can use all the help we can get, Jeremy. Thank you for asking that.
Yes. Hey, absolutely. So what's one more thing, especially around the impact that you're able to make in the community, but what's one more thing that you wish everyone knew?
I wish everyone knew that, that they don't have to stay in a situation in which they're uncomfortable. Unfortunately, a lot of times I see that domestic violence can be generational. It's like, well, my parents were like this, or my grandparents were like this, or the house we grew up in was like this. And people don't know that what they're experiencing isn't correct. isn't acceptable. So it's really education. And that's what we try to do with the speeches and with the attendance at the fairs and stuff, is get the education out there. And actually, one of our really successful residents put on her own forum not too long ago and had young men in attendance, which was the first time I'd ever seen young men in attendance, which I was thrilled about. But I spoke with her mother after the event, and her mom said to me, you know, I didn't know that I raised my child in a domestic violence situation. I had no idea. And that was exactly what she told me. This is what I saw. And that's what I saw before them, you know, the grandparents, the parents, herself. And she just felt horrible that she had not known that, and that she wasn't educated enough to know that it wasn't acceptable behavior, and that she didn't have to stay in that situation. We just want people to know there's a place to go where you can be safe. We'll help you get to an independent life that's successful, that is non-violent, and give us a call. We can help you by starting out with a safety plan. Even if you're not quite ready to leave yet, call us.
Well, then that leads us to that last question is, mention again the phone number and the website. Where do we go to get in contact and learn more?
615-599-5777 is our hotline number, 365, 24/7, all around time, always being answered. And the website is bridgesdvc.org. You can donate there. You can sign up to volunteer there. You can buy tickets for the gala November 5th on that website. And Jeremy, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for allowing us this time with you.
Absolutely. Well, Lynn, thank you for all you and your amazing team at Bridges Domestic Violence Center do for our community. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.